It's hard to believe that it's already been a year since Sonic Frontiers first came out. I've been wanting to review this game since then, but I also wanted to wait until we had the entire game to actually go through with it. Now after 3 major content updates, I'm finally ready to put all my thoughts on everything together. I'll be leaving no stone unturned, nothing off limits, and I'm covering every piece of content from this game from beginning to end. Every challenge, every mission, optional or mandatory. Now, because of how much I have to say, I'm gonna be breaking this review into multiple parts, mostly for editing reasons. This first video is going to be entirely dedicated to just discussing the story, not the game itself. If you don't want any of it spoiled on you, it's probably best to skip this part entirely. If you just want to skip the summary, you can jump to the chapter ahead, or skip to this timestamp. At that point, I'll be discussing my own thoughts, so there won't be any major spoilers for events in the game. All that being said, it's finally time to start my review of Sonic Frontiers. The story kicks off with Eggman piloting his Eggmobile through some dense trees, before arriving in front of an unknown structure of some kind. Eggman attaches a device to it, uploading an AI that reboots a network and summons forth an army of ancient robots. Afterwards, the AI runs a protective protocol which pulls Eggman inside the structure. Cut to the next morning, we join Sonic, Tails, and Amy in the Tornado on a flight to the Starfall Islands. This journey being spurred on by the Chaos Emeralds being mysteriously drawn to the islands. The flight hits a spike in turbulence, followed by a portal appearing, which sucks in the group and separates Sonic from his friends. Sonic ends up in a digital dimension resembling Green Hill Zone, with a familiar layout as well. Sonic manages to escape this cyberspace and finds himself in a ravine on Kronos Island. A disembodied voice tells Sonic that what he's done should be impossible, referring to him as the Key. This voice gives Sonic 3 tasks: find the Chaos Emeralds, destroy the Titans, and tear down the walls between dimensions. Sonic attempts to ask for details and is met with silence, so he presses on instead, unaware of a mysterious figure watching over him. After exploring his surroundings a bit and defeating a few enemies, Sonic soon finds himself in front of another portal, the voice telling him to use the gears dropped by enemy leaders to open the portal and return to cyberspace. After Sonic exits cyberspace again, he receives a couple of keys and then a bridge appears, allowing him to explore the rest of Kronos. Sonic soon finds Amy and frees her from a digital prison, the energy that formed it being absorbed into his body in the process. While Amy's spirit is free, her physical body is still trapped in cyberspace, rendering her as a cyber ghost. Sonic runs into one of the Titans mentioned previously, as well as a girl named Sage who confronts him and tells him to leave. After ignoring her advice to not approach the Titan, it grabs Sonic and throws him halfway across the island, the impact of which causes him to faint. After coming to, Sonic makes it his top priority to track down all of the Chaos Emeralds before approaching the Titan again. He also makes an effort to help out Amy deal with some of the problems of the island's residents, the Coco, which ends up working out in his favor as some of the Coco actually give him Chaos Emeralds after helping them. After helping one of the Coco find their lover, Sonic and Amy are treated to a vision of the past where the Coco appear as figures resembling Chaos Zero. The Coco pass on after this and Sonic and Amy share a heartfelt moment about what they just saw. Sonic heads off for the one part of the island he hasn't checked yet, knowing that the Titan Giganto is here waiting for him. After retrieving the Chaos Emerald from the top of its head, Sonic transforms into Super Sonic and then takes down Giganto in a heartbeat. This doesn't appear to be enough to get Amy back to normal, but it does appear to be doing something, so Sonic takes off for the second island, Ares Island. Upon his arrival, Sonic gets shot down by the island's defense systems, and the Chaos Emeralds get scattered around Ares. Sonic soon finds and rescues Knuckles from his cage, Knuckles having been brought here from a cyberspace portal that he found on Angel Island, leading the mysteries even deeper than before. After a bit of back and forth banter, Sonic is confronted by Sage and the second Titan, Wyvern, the encounter of which Sonic narrowly escapes with his life. The two run into Sage again later, where she makes another attempt on Sonic's life. Knuckles blocks the attack, but when he goes to retaliate, Sonic stops him, knowing that Sage is actually trying to protect something. But he refuses to share any information before disappearing again. After assisting some more Coco, Sonic and Knuckles are treated to another vision of the Ancients attempting in vain to hold back something. They then find more Coco falling back on a bunker after the frontline defenses were taken down. After examining the bunker, Knuckles realizes that the architecture resembles that of the ruins found on Angel Island, leading him to suspect that the Ancients here took refuge on Angel Island after they had to escape this home. The conversation between Sonic and Knuckles causes some confusion for Sage as she fails to comprehend that Sonic is helping out someone that he's having arguments with often. It's worth noting that it's revealed early on that Sage is the AI that Eggman uploaded into cyberspace, and her goal is to stop Sonic from proceeding and find a way to safely remove Eggman from cyberspace. I didn't know where to squeeze this in earlier, so I just put it here. After a showdown with Wyvern as Super Sonic again, Sonic flies off over to Chaos Island to search for Tails. Sonic manages to hunt down and free Tails, with Sage noting that he's enduring his cyber corruption better than expected, though he's clearly having a tough time walking off the pain. After a run-in with the island's Titan, Sonic meets up with Tails who's attempting to get some of the Ancients' tech back online, the device itself giving Sonic and Tails a vision of the exact moment that the Ancients were driven away from the Starfall Islands. They then find an Assault Model Death Egg robot in a wrecked state, supposedly brought here by Eggman before he rebooted cyberspace. They then hack into the robot and use its laser to reveal an underground passage. The two then begin helping out the Coco here get some of their weapons back up and running, with Tails reflecting on how he always seems to rely on Sonic, and Sonic assuring Tails that he's managed to accomplish a lot on his own. Tails decides after they're done here that he wants to try going solo for a bit, Sonic being very proud of Tails becoming more independent. This interaction begins having an effect on Sage and causes her appearance to change a little. After playing a prehistoric pinball table, yes, you heard me correctly, Sonic reveals Knight's location and takes it on face to face. Sonic then finds himself on Rhea Island, with the voice instructing him to deactivate the 6 towers that have emerged from the ground in order to tear down the walls between dimensions. Each tower deactivated gives Sonic more details about the Ancients' history, such as that they came to this planet from another after it was destroyed by an unknown foe, this being where the Chaos Emeralds also originally came from. They also ended up on this planet after flying by it in the Master Emerald on Earth, neutralizing the Chaos Emeralds powering their ships. The enemy that destroyed their home planet had also followed them here, and this was why the Titans were built, in order to protect against it. After deactivating the final tower, Sonic is treated with one final backhand. The thing that destroyed the Ancients' home in the first place was being sealed by the Titans, and by destroying them and tearing down the walls between dimensions, Sonic has now set it free. With this knowledge, Sonic finally succumbs to his cyber corruption, as Amy, Knuckles, Tails, and Eggman are freed from cyberspace, though Sage insists on returning Eggman to cyberspace as soon as possible, due to the risk it could pose on his life when it gets out. It being the Ancient's nemesis that is sealed inside the final Titan. Knowing he's the only hope, Sonic's friends drive back his cyber corruption and trap themselves in cyberspace once more. On Sage's insistence, Eggman and Sonic team up and the three begin hunting down the Chaos Emeralds one last time on Oranos Island. Sage finally opens up to Sonic on the details of cyberspace, the Starfall Islands, the Coco, everything. Though this island doesn't really have any plot development of its own aside from just gathering the Chaos Emeralds one last time. After gathering all the emeralds, Sonic takes on the final Titan, Supreme, after which the being held inside escapes into space. Sage takes over the Titan and both her and Sonic blast off into space in pursuit of the End. After one final showdown, the End attempts to self-destruct to take Sonic down with it, but Sage sacrifices herself in order to prevent it from doing so. With the End defeated, Amy, Tails, and Knuckles are finally freed from cyberspace, and Eggman watches the Starfall one last time, knowing Sage's sacrifice was not in vain. The morning after the Starfall, Sonic and his friends hop on the Tornado, which I assume was also released from cyberspace, and take off to leave the Starfall Islands behind. But one more post-credit scene reveals that Eggman was also able to recover Sage's data. So this game's story has a significantly different tone from previous Sonic games. While the previous game, Sonic Forces, had a plot dealing with war, the actual dialogue tone was just as lighthearted as ever. Sonic Frontiers, however, has a much more down-to-earth tone. While Sonic is still his usual wisecracking self, he's actually capable of showing a lot more emotion in this game. This is not only thanks to Ian Flynn's writing, but in the animation as well. This is the most expressive Sonic's been animated in years. A lot of scenes do just use this pretty bog-standard back-and-forth setup, but all the important story scenes use proper animation and cinematography. You can really get a feel for Sonic's dynamics with everyone when you just look at his face when he's talking to them. Now, there are some issues with the way certain characters are written. For starters, Amy. If you haven't read any of the IDW comics, Amy's characterization is completely different out of nowhere. Those comics have been slowly trying to phase out her obsession with Sonic, and it's apparent she still likes him, but not to the stalker-level obsession she had in previous games. The other character I have issues with is Tails, and it's because he's gone through this exact story arc twice before in both adventure games. Here it just kinda comes out of nowhere in a strange attempt to sand over the edge of his character and forces. That being said, this is still the best he's been written in a game since Colors, so I can't complain too much. A lot of the dialogue also has callbacks to previous games. It's nothing that would alienate new fans, it's more so just something to give everyone who's been with this franchise for a while a little wink and nod. I do find Sonic's overall mood to be a lot more mature than in previous games. He's confident, yeah, but he doesn't make everything out to be some kind of joke. It's a really nice contrast from Forces, where he was just as chipper as ever despite being tortured for 6 months straight. Oh, and let's not forget about Eggman. This is the most we've heard from Eggman in a game for quite a while. Not only because of the numerous cutscenes between him and Sage, but also the unlockable egg memos that give insight into his situation and inner thoughts, aside from what he tells to Sage. The overall pride he has in Sage as his creation is really humanizing. Unlike Orbot and Cubot, who only really served for comic relief, Sage actually comes off as family to him. Another thing that really helps with the emotion factor is the voice acting. Even without looking at the screen, there are a couple of scenes that actually bring tears to my eyes still, even after playing this game through more than 10 times. Amy wanting to share her love with the world, Knuckles lamenting being the last of his kind, Tails wanting to be more independent. These are things that the series has tackled before, but they feel more personal here because of the amazing vocal talent on display. There's also a lot of lines that get laughs out of me every time.
What is your end goal?
It varies. Sometimes it's a spinning sign, sometimes it's a big old ring.
The spatial anomaly that affected us seems to have left me in a digitized state. But those same energies are manifesting into some worrisome mutations for you.
Those sure are words you said just now.
Okay, I think I'm done talking about the story now. Let's tackle the game itself.